Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
Well, today we've got a tremendous episode of Freed on Business. We're going to be interviewing Steve Vecchitto. He's the founder, managing director at Avenir. He played running back in college. He's still carrying the rock for his team at Avenir. We'll talk all about how he built his company, who's on his team, how he finds transactions, and why he structured his business the way he has. Remember, you can find us streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. We're at Freed on Business or at Jim Freed. And want to never forget the fact that we have our sponsors, Warren Henry Automotive. We've been on for 780 episodes. Warren Henry's been with us for well over 600. They've been with us for 13 of our 15 years. I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry very much. Remember, you can always find us on Wednesdays at noon when we drop our new podcast. And now, our interview with Steve Vecchitto of Avenir. We're on with Steve Vecchitto, the founder, chairman, big cheese at Avenir, one of the country's biggest multifamily companies. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate the exaggeration a bit.
It's tremendous. Listen, before we get going, I want to say we've got a common friend in Kevin Milliff and a whole lot more. There you go. I've been following you for a long time. I grew up here in South Florida, and I'm really impressed with the way you and your family have built this business. It's great to have you on the show. If we could get started, tell me a little bit about your firm, your strategy, your team. Pretty wide open on that.
So we're a multifamily investor, operator, developer. I came down from Connecticut back in '96 to start Avenir. I'm a CPA by background, had a public practice that I held for 20 years and sold it in '96 to one of the big eight, and decided I needed a career change and had done some real estate syndication investing back in Connecticut when I had my firm, and really believed that multifamily was a great asset class in up and down economies. New England was very flat back in the mid-90s. They had lost a number of banks, and decided that I wanted a growth area that would have some warm weather, and came down to Miami in '96, even though all of my friends said, how could you go to Miami? I mean, that's a dangerous place. I'm like, well, you haven't been to the Miami I've been to. So it's not really, I'm not concerned, and came down here to establish Avenir.
We're really glad you did. You've got a great strategy going. I wanted to talk a little bit about your latest large-scale transaction. You just recently acquired a lot of gunpowder. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, over the past 28 years, we've primarily invested in existing properties with a thought process of bringing better management, upgrading interiors and exteriors, and continuing to operate for a longer term hold. We're not buyers, fixers, flippers. We're investors. We like to create a business plan for every asset we buy. Some are longer term holds, some are forever holds, it seems like. And that's, honestly, in real estate, that's where you make or build wealth, is in long-term holding of real estate. It's a great asset class. It cash flows. It's financeable. It's actually liquid, even though it may take a little bit of time to get to liquidity. But if you needed it, it's liquid. And performance has been just stellar to our investors over the last 28 years. 4 years ago, we saw a real opportunity in need to develop single-family home communities. And so we looked to create 200 to 300 units in a single community think of any apartment community, except it's not vertical, it's horizontal. So they're all single family homes. We call them cottages. So the size ranges from 800 to 1600 square feet. It becomes affordable, small a affordable. But when you compare renting one of our cottages to owning in that same submarket, it's a 50% cash flow savings to the renter or what would be owner. Where and I may be diving a little deep, but I think this is important. Our average rents in Florida are probably $2,300 for a 2-bedroom cottage. That would compare to probably a $5,000 monthly payment on an ownership side. So substantial savings, and just the mindset changes of I don't have all these obligations on the ownership side, or challenges that may come about because of insurances or repairs or a new roof. Well, as a renter, you don't need to think about that. It's all our obligation. These properties are fully amenitized, and so they're really creating or filling a need in the marketplace that doesn't exist today.
Sounds like you're really addressing a very big issue, especially here in Florida, where there's been a lot of pressure on people that live here, people that move here, and the ability for the industry to deliver affordable with a small a, maybe attainable things where people want to live and can live. And, so it's really a wonderful solution that you've been providing. What do you see going forward in the multifamily space or multi-housing space?
It's expensive to build. There are a lot of NIMBYism going around in whatever county we try to develop in. And the regulatory environment creates hurdles to all developers, not just us, but all I'm going to say housing, residential developers, that increases the cost. And as you increase cost, what then do you build? So, look, whoever the developer is, we're not doing this to lose money. It's an investment, right? We're all bringing in investor capital. That investor capital wants a yield. So it's important that we're selecting the right product type in the right location to develop these communities so that they become sustainable. If they're sustainable, then you have affordability within that component.
Steve, I want to take a second to thank the person that put us together, Tina Mosfettis. I never get the names right. I should be on radio the way I butcher the names. So I want to talk a little bit about your team. Tell me a little bit about your team, because it seems actually wonderful and positive part of your company.
So our number one initiative is culture, always has been, right? Culture beats everything. No matter what the issues may be, if you have a strong, giving culture, that's always a winning formula. And so, we've really built the organization culture first, investors first. It's never about what money is Avenir making. It's always what's the protection to our investor? How do we deliver results to our investor? How do we then deliver fair compensation to our employees, and not just compensation, but actually a fun place to work? Our core values, we have 7, embody all of that. And so, I'm an older now. And well, I don't know how I got here so quick, but I did. And it's been fun because on my side, not the management side, but on my side of the teams, I've got all young guys. They're all mid-20s to mid-30s, and they're our next level of leadership. And I'm having so much fun mentoring, guiding, watching them energetically work. They have participation incentives. So my belief always is, I'm not going to pay you the highest salary, but I'm going to give you the best up. If we make money, you're going to make money. And that, I think, goes back to investors first. It's not about us making money. When our investors win, we'll win. But we can't win ahead of them.
Sounds like, sorry for stepping on the end of your answer. Sounds like you have a tremendous alignment of interest, not only with your team, but with your investors. Do you work only with smaller syndicated capital, or do you also work with institutional capital?
My preference is high net worth investors. I don't believe many have access to the product type we have. We've built our company on high net worth investors. They've been loyal to us. We've provided good returns. They understand what we do. And most importantly, they trust what we do, right? We may not be right every time, but they trust that we're going to get to the right solution. And we do. Institutional equity comes with a lot of complexities, and it's not necessarily an alignment of interests, although everybody wants to make money, but it's how you do that the culture of institutional equity really doesn't match our culture. So we find ourselves sometimes in conflict of culture and people, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't need to do a deal to do a deal. And so I'm not going to force a institutional partner into a deal where this is just going to be a headache.
Well, we're going to take a break right here. We'll be right back. I want to make sure we dive a little deeper into how Steve and his team find each other and find transactions. Mr. Mendoza, take it away. Well, as usual, Mr. Mendoza is doing a profile of all the deals I've worked on and closed here in South Florida. Thank you, Mr. Mendoza, for always promoting me with the video. I want to also thank our friends at Warren Henry, Larry, Eric, Ismet, the whole team at Warren Henry. I want to thank them for being a sponsor of the show and being part of the team for well over a decade at this point. I want to remind you that Warren Henry Automotive is always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. They've got their store up in Gainesville. It sells Audis. They've got their store at 151st and Biscayne that sells Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, Jaguar, and now Lincoln. They've got a great award-winning Land Rover, Range Rover store in South Dade. They've got their new Land Rover, Range Rover store in West Broward. And, of course, down in the Keys, they sell all those great nameplates. What do they all have in common? They're all great cars. They all come with the Warren Henry Advantage, a long list of services you get whenever you're a family member at Warren Henry. Join me, my beautiful wife, Vivian, my mom, and lots of our friends. They're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. All right, we're back with Steve Vecchitto. I'm really excited to have this interview. It's somebody I've admired here locally in the business world for a long time. The way he's built his business and the people he builds his business with are absolutely some of the best in class. And we're going to talk about that in the second segment. It's sort of really the bottom line. Steve, you mentioned that you like to bring on teammates and mentor them. Tell me how you find your teammates, they find you, and what's the one major thing you like to tell them that you might want to share with young person trying to get in the business?
Oh, that's interesting. So, they've come to us in varied ways. And so for me, I don't need you to be an Ivy League graduate, right? In fact, I don't want you to be. I want smart, bright, hungry. Hungry is an operative word, that wants to work, wants to learn, wants to advance. And, I know there's been a lot of complaints about the current generation coming out of college. I have a dozen people in our firm that couldn't work harder, couldn't care more, couldn't be more hungry. And so, I played ball, and one of my adages is, I can't teach you to run fast. I could teach you to catch a ball and what to do after you catch the ball. But running fast is innate. I can't teach that. And so for us, that winning formula is, do you have it within you to run fast? Are you hungry?
Yes.
Do you want this?
That's true.
And if you do, everything goes.
Coach, I want it.
Yeah.
Coach, I want it. So listen.
Call me in.
Yeah. Listen, I mentor a lot of the kids from University of Florida. We mentioned one of the people off air that I've done that with. They come to me, ask me for guidance. Young man just emailed me the other day, wants to get on the phone next week, talking about how does he get into the development business. I tell him, forget it. Don't do that. If they keep pushing, they're the right person.
Yeah. Okay, good. Hunger. I mean, it really is hunger and passion, right? You got to love what you're doing. You got to want to learn. You want to have to advance. I want to be the best I could be. But that comes down to hunger.
Yeah. You also have to be a team player too. Now, we talked about your team insight. Now, tell me how you find your transactions.
It's all relationships. So from the beginning, it's part of our core initiative is know our brokers, not just know them, but embrace them, be friends with them, know their families. Let's just, at the end of the day, again, this is all about relationships. We have relationships with our lenders. We have relationships with our investors. We need relationships with our brokers. And in every market in our industry, there's 2 or 3 firms that control 80% of the market. Those are the 2 groups I want to know and have deep relationships with.
When I act as a buyer, investor, I always like to tell the intermediaries that they're my customers. I want to treat them with kindness and respect. I want to make sure that they get paid what they deserve to get paid. I want to create some wonderful energy with them, and I want to build together because they're my outside team.
100%. That's right.
Now, Steve, this is the point where we go for the last word, and really, in a couple of sentences, how would you sum up Avenir and Avenir today and Avenir tomorrow?
Avenir today is hungry. Avenir today is going to take the road less traveled. So our development arm on our single family home concept is really going to be one of the drivers to the future. We've named, again, I'm going to go back to culture. We've named our brand of our single family homes is Leo. Leo stands for love each other. And so we want to create neighborhoods and communities that used to exist when you and I grew up. We can go out and ride our bike, and my neighbor's watching out for my kid because he's got a front porch and he's sitting in the rocking chair. Mentorship is so important. Barbecues are so important because that's where you're meeting your neighbor. We want to go back to old concepts of neighborhood, caring for each other, unity. I mean, we're in a political environment now that everybody just hates on each other. And so that's how we got to Leo, by the way, was 4 years ago when everybody was just hating on each other. Can we just love each other and take care of each other? If everybody took care of their neighbor, nobody would be in need.
Steve, I may be going off the reservation, but boy, do I love you.
I already went off the reservation.
I freaking love you, man. This is if we were physically any closer, I'd give you a hug right now. I can't thank you enough for coming and sharing your business perspective, your kindness and love for one another, projecting goodness and positive energy out into a world that really desperately needs it today. We don't really talk politics on the show, but I think everybody here can agree that the most important thing is that we all pull together so that we can, solve the problems we can solve and make the world a better place, not just for old guys like us, Steve, but for the next generation and their children.
100%. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just
Yeah.
truly, absolutely one of the best interviews we've done in quite a long time. Steve Vecchitto. My gosh, I forgot all your fancy titles. I got to go back here.
No, don't worry about that.
Oh man. You know what? I'm going to give you my own title. Really tremendous human being. How about that one?
Love that. Love that.
Oh man, we love you. I hope you'll come back and join us again and share some more goodness. And I hope that you'll allow me to send some of my wonderful mentees to you to see if they make the grade to be one of your teammates. Steve Vecchitto, great guy, developer, visionary, wonderful fiduciary, just tremendous guy. Thank you so much. And I want to also thank Tina again for bringing you onto the show. I'm not Tina Mosisis. Boy, I'm sure I butchered her name again, but she's been tremendous with us. She really helped us put all this together, and I want to thank her so much. Steve, thank you so much. Have a tremendous day. Now go out there and make the world a better place.
Just love each other.
Oh, man, this guy's tremendous. All right, I want to thank our guest today, Steve Vecchitto. Steve, what a tremendous energy he puts into the world, into his team, trying to address some of the most challenging aspects of real estate as well as our community. I want to thank Steve again. I want to again warn him that I'm going to be sending him some of my UF mentees to see if they can cut it at Avenir. It looks like a wonderful place to work. I know it is. I know that it's absolutely one of the leaders in our community and in the real estate business. If you missed today's show or any of the episodes, you can check the replay on any of my social feeds, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Look for me at Jim Fried or at Fried on Business, or head over to the at Jim Fried YouTube page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen to the audio. You can check out all of our podcast episodes. I want to thank Warren Henry Automotive. I want to thank the University of Florida Center for Real Estate Studies, the Bergstrom Center. Thank you to all our sponsors for helping us bring this great information to you. And remember, the person who wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Now go out there and make it happen. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Mr. Mendoza, the rest of the show is yours.